guys, my name is Boulevard. If you're looking for an in-depth tournament review video, this is not it. As you can see by the length, that will be Tournament Tactician coming out on Friday, where I take a much deeper dive into these things and help you prep for any upcoming events you may have over the weekend, taking all of this tournament data into consideration, as well as the ladder. Now, this is just going to be a quick overview of what you may have missed over the past weekend to try and give you a quick 2-minute overview of where the tournament meta stands currently. Now, the tournaments we're going to be looking at are Duels of Runeterra 8, the Online League Series, and the Legends of Runeterra Subreddit tournaments that were all hosted over the weekend. So of the tournaments, Duels of Runeterra 8 was the only one to break 64 players, and the Online League Series was the only one to run solely in North America. Due to this information, we're only going to be looking at the finalists from the Online League Series and the Subreddit tournament, and we're going to be looking at the top 8 from both North America and Europe for Duels of Runeterra, which gives us 22 total competitors to look at the results of. So the first and most interesting thing I think that I wanted to take a look at is, now that we have 7 regions in Legends of Runeterra, if you're playing a region-locked tournament, that means you're going to have to cut at least one region. And as such, Ionia was cut from 10 lineups, Freljord from 6, Shadow Isle from 3, and Noxus and Bilgewater both didn't make it into 8 of the lineups this weekend. Now, if you're looking at these numbers and they're not quite adding up, it's because there was a lot of mono Demacia run this weekend, so a couple of lineups cut 2 regions, and Shadow Isle was the only other region besides Demacia to be played on its own. Ezreal was the most played Piltover and Zaun champion, having 30 copies of it played between the 22 competitors, but it is worth noting that in Duels of Runeterra 8 specifically, there was a known bugged interaction with multiple copies of Vi, causing the card to be limited for that tournament. However, I don't think that impacted the final results too much, as I think Ezreal is going to be the dominant Piltover and Zaun champion for this foreseeable future. 29 copies of Elise made her the most played Shadow Isle champion over the weekend, unsurprising since Endure Spiders did make it to the finals of both Europe and North America for Duels of Runeterra 8. Although Ionia was the most cut region, Karma still comes in strong with 21 copies, mostly being paired with Ezreal, although there were some non-Ezreal Karma decks played. Unsurprisingly, Draven takes the top spot for Noxus, as Swain is still a little bit experimental, and Draven slots very well both into Ezreal decks and the Noxus PZ aggro decks that we've been seeing dominate the ladder. In Bilgewater, we have a tie between Twisted Fate and Misfortune, both packing in 21 copies, Twisted Fate being paired with a couple of different strategies from Shadow Isle to Ezreal to the MF Gangplank control deck, and Misfortune mostly finding herself in Demacia-based scout decks. Ashe takes the #1 spot at Freljord, closely followed by Tryndamere, who had 11 copies played, and I do think that the King and Queen of the Freljord are going to have to settle their differences in the upcoming weeks. Garen finally rounding it out as with a whopping 46 copies, making him not only the most played Demacian champion, but the most played champion overall by a very wide margin. Which is unsurprising given that Bannerman was the most popular deck this weekend, with the 6 non-Bannerman players running general Bannerman-like strategies, meaning MF Scouts, 1 Ashe Garen, and the winner of the OLS running standalone Fiora Zed. And finally, we have those that were left behind. Heimerdinger, Teemo, Braum, Katarina, Vladimir, Yasuo, Shen, Fizz, Hecarim, and Lux all saw 0 play across the top cut of Duels of Runeterra or the finals of any of the smaller tournaments. Now, it's interesting to see Heimerdinger on this list, and I'll go into that more on Tournament Tactician, but if you're a returning player from the beginning of beta and you were wondering if they had fixed Hecarim, the answer is yes. And that's that on that. The tournament data is compiled. You may now do with this information what you will, and I sincerely hope it helps in your testing for the upcoming weekend. Now, speaking of, if you're looking to join any of the tournaments coming up this weekend, I will have links to all 3 Discords down below. You can join those Discords and find more information on those tournaments. The Online League Series will be running again this weekend, sticking with the same format. The Subreddit Legends of Runeterra tournament will also be returning, but will be modifying their format. More information about that will be available on their Discord, and Duels of Runeterra will be taking a week off. And if you enjoyed this and want a more in-depth review, be sure to check back on Friday when I upload Tournament Tactician to try and go a little bit more in-depth on these things and help you prepare for the upcoming tournaments you may have this weekend. I look forward to seeing you there.